Hello everyone, and welcome to this week, the 8th lesson for the Learning Center second semester. How are you going, mate?
Wonderful, wonderful. Good. How are you?
That's good. I haven't seen Anthony all day either.
It's been a while.
All right. So Anthony was on holiday. He's back in action. We hope you guys are all doing well. We can get started now with the 8th lesson today, which is also going to refer to the development of the soul, obviously, and how we need to kind of like add up on the knowledge we know, so we can build ourselves. Up actually for the next semester where we have the young group. All right, so we're going to be more integrated, and we're going to learn how to use a few tools. Regardless of where we are on the planet, we'll have an opportunity to connect and to do some real practical Kabbalah. All right, so today, lesson number 8. If you have any questions, shoot them through. As always, I do believe Jonathan sent me a question, which let's start with that question and get it out of our hair. And then we'll do some studying, and then we'll answer questions regarding the topic that we're studying. So one of our friends, good morning. I don't have a name here, so I'm just going to read the question, so I hope you remember your question, whoever asked it. Good morning, friends. I have a question. If anyone can answer me, how does Kabbalah refer to a reason? Thank you. Like I want something because of something. Is a reason necessary in spirituality? Well, look, if you do things without a good reason, all right, that's like little children doing things. People do things with a good reason. In Kabbalah, it's called intention. All right, so I'm doing something and I know exactly why I'm doing something. So in spirituality also, there is a cause and there's a consequence. Like we learned earlier on, in the spiritual, there are causes, which are called roots, and in our world there are branches, and they are consequences. Okay, hope you can read that. I'll write a bit more clearer. Okay, and the Creator does everything with a purpose. Okay, so he does everything with a purpose, so there's a reason for everything, absolutely. The next question, wanting to connect to another human being on a fundamental level, heart to heart, while expecting nothing in return. Could this be classed as spirituality? No, it's not classed as spirituality, because spirituality needs to involve in it the Creator. All right, so if we're just good to each other without the intention to bestow contentment to the Creator, it's not spirituality, it's just being good mates. All right, just being good friends or being good family members. So to attain spirituality means to attain the mind and the thought and the actions and the let's say behavioral traits of the Creator, right? Love and bestowal. So we need to learn that, and we need to attain that in order to become a spiritual vessel, so we can reciprocate the same actions that the Creator is doing on us in a matching way. Okay, so being good friends in this world isn't spiritual, but it's a good thing. Okay, nobody's going to argue with that on that. Okay, but it's not spiritual. So let's take a look at what we have today. Now today, what we're going to talk about is the 4 phases of creation, also known as the 4 phases of direct light. This is very important for us because this is the fundamental of creation. 4 phases of direct light. Okay, this is how the Creator created the vessel, the desire to receive. So basically, this is our essence. And if you get this right, you can pretty much answer any question in Kabbalah, because although this is the fundamental of Kabbalah, it also is, it's the same structure for everything in spirituality as well. In fact, the whole of creation is composed of those 4 phases, and everything we go through actually has 4 phases. The year has 4 cycles, the day has 4 parts, our thought process has 4 phases, and so on. So all of these things come from the 4 phases of direct light. And Let's see how we're going to go about doing it. All right. So the creator, first of all, let's draw the creator. Okay, I'm using creator as the sign of infinity. All right. Simply because instead of writing it all the time, it's easier. All right, so the creator, first of all, wanted to create a created being, and he wanted to bestow everything to that created being. The reason being is that the creator's nature is a desire to bestow. His character is love, his personality is loving, and the action of loving is giving. So from that, he wanted to create such a creature that he could give everything to that creature. Everything he had, pretty much, that's everything that he could possibly dream of. Right? However, the created being needed to want what he wanted to give. So in order for that, he had to create a desire to receive that would want what the creator has. So he started creating within inside this reality, full of his existence, a little spot where he kind of took himself out of there and left a blank space, kind of like a dark dot. Okay, in the middle of the whole of reality, he left a small empty place where he was not felt there. It was like a void space without the creator. And that void place started to develop as this is it there, that black dot, okay? And he started to give that black void from his absence the sensation of his presence. And that is known as the first phase. This first phase is how the creator, from that empty space, created a desire, a big void. That is, I mean, what actually is a desire? A desire is our sensation of feeling that we need something, that we're lacking something. So the creator decided to build this huge void. And once he built that big void, this huge empty vessel, he filled it up with light. Filling it up with light means that kind of giving that void the sensation of his presence. And he pretty much filled it up all the way to the top. And once this vessel, by the way, a vessel is also a sensation, isn't it? So, for example, when we want something, when we fulfill our desires or we feel that they are unfulfilled, we have feelings, don't we? So the Creator is also giving, at the same time, this creature that sensation that somebody is actually filling it. And at the end of that first phase, that's what it's felt like. So this vessel at the end here feels that this emptiness is being filled. So since it's not filling himself, somebody on the outside must be filling this vessel. And this now brings forth this new phase. Okay, this is the first phase. This new phase that is now born out of this situation is a new desire inside the vessel of wanting also to bestow to the force that's bestowing to him, like filling him up. So for example, let's say we have a baby and we're giving the baby milk, okay? Now the baby, let's say, understands that we're doing that, and the baby would also like to give us milk as well. It's like children copying their parents, right? So from this first phase, a new phase is born, the second phase, and that is now a desire to bestow. So here we have a desire to receive being created by the Creator. And this desire to receive, after being completely fulfilled with the Creator's light, now has a desire to bestow because it feels that somebody is bestowing to it and it wants to reciprocate. And this is how the two forces in nature came about, through the Creator's action of building a vessel, building a desire to receive. Now, once you come to the second state, it gets a little tricky, because if we're a desire to receive and the Creator is a desire to bestow, and the Creator has everything and I have nothing, what can I possibly bestow to the Creator? So once this second phase is completely done, like it comes to an end, the created being here comes to an understanding. And he says, well, listen, look, it's all good that you can bestow and you have everything, but simply I can't bestow like you at the moment, although I want to bestow, but I can't bestow because I don't have anything. So that's the understanding that he comes to in phase 2. Okay, I also want to give you a present, but right now I don't have the opportunity, I don't have the resources, I just can't do it, I don't have anything to give you right now, but I would love to. All right? This, in turn, develops the third state. Now, the third state is very interesting because the created being now understands this. It understands that, well, wait a minute, the Creator is bestowal and he has things to give and he's giving. I am a desire to receive, I don't have anything, I'm just the reception, receiving, I'm on the receiving end. However, if the Creator wants to bestow to me, I can bestow back if I take what he wants to give me in order to make him happy. All right? Are you with me? So, what I can decide to do is to receive from the Creator because he wants to give me. Not because I want to take it, but because he wants to give me. All right? It's like your mum cooked for you, and I don't know, let's say you're not so hot on cabbage. All right? But she made cabbage for you, and you know she loves you, and it's cabbage day, okay, and you're thinking, oh, it's cabbage with broccoli. All right, anything else you don't like there, mate? Broccoli, let's say. Okay, so, but you're looking at your mum, you're thinking, oh, well, you know what, she spent a lot of time doing this for me, and she prepared the table for me, you know.
Gotta make mama happy.
That's right, you gotta make your mama happy. So you know what, you put on a big fat smile, you dig into it because you understand that at that moment, that's the only thing you can do right now to make her happy. And you eat with a big appetite. All right? So this third state is born from the understanding that, well, you know, I'm happy to receive, even though I don't want to, or I may not want to, I'm happy to receive because I'd like to make the giver happy. Okay? This is receiving to bestow. Now this third situation, by the way, this is the root situation here, okay? 0. Now this third situation is really interesting because now I have a sensation about receiving from the Creator, and also on top of that I have a sensation that I am giving to the Creator. All right, so I now have two sources of pleasure. One is receiving, second is bestowing, and this new understanding brings me to this new final level, which is called the real desire to receive that the Creator created. And that desire to receive, the fourth phase, wants to have everything that the Creator has to give, wants to give or has, and also wants the status of the Creator. Okay? And this is Malchut, the real desire to receive. Okay? the final creature. Desire to receive as the final creature. Okay? So after all these phases, this form, this last form here, is called Malchut, the real desire to receive pleasure. And this actually is the creature. Okay? When I want to receive everything and I want to receive the king's throne. Think of it that way. And Malchut comes from the word limloch, to rule. Okay? That's why Malchut means I will rule, I'm the king. And this is how, through the 4 phases of direct light, the Creator created the desire to receive in the world of Ein Sof. And this sensation of having everything and receiving everything is called Ein Sof. Okay? Before the restrictions and everything. Up to here, do we have any questions?
We've got one from Mo from Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
It says, is that why space happened in the first creator? The creator fights the feeling trials of bestow to the creator, and that space is Satan. That's why he don't want to lose himself by Adam filling the space, as you say?
No. At this point in time, right now, there is no Satan. There's nothing. In fact, there is no Satan. There's only one Satan if you're really interested in Satan, and that's our desire to receive for ourselves. Okay, that's the devil in all of us. All right? So in this format right now, there is no Adam. Okay, right now we have a desire to receive, which wants to receive all of the light of the Creator, because that's what the Creator wants, right? And also it wants to receive the status quo of the Creator, like a son of the king who wants everything that the king has plus his throne. And so Malchut is the most egoistic situation. This is the egoistic state that we initially were created in. All right? And that's fine. This is how the Creator created us. It's not a big deal. All right? Anything else there? So this Malchut is this huge desire to receive. It's just huge. All right?
Okay. Paradazi says, from Zimbabwe, the 4 stages of light. Are these 4 stages happening at a corporeal level or at a spiritual?
These are all spiritual at the moment, right? There's nothing to talk about right now in the corporeal. These things that we're talking about here are all way, way before corporeality. This is first the Creator, right? The thought of creation. The thought of creation. He decided to create a being which he could bestow upon. And from that dot, he created a big vessel. He filled it up with light and gave the sensation to this kli, this vessel. Okay, get used to the term kli. Okay, it means vessel, a desire to receive. So this kli, he filled it up, and then this kli got this feeling that somebody was bestowing to it. And from there, everything as a chain reaction happened until we got to this state called Malchut. Malchut in the world of infinity, as it says. Okay, this is our state. This was not our state, this is how the desire to receive was created as the creature. Okay? Anything else there?
No, that's it.
Okay. So what will happen is this. Our will to receive, okay, is just a tool for reception. It's like, I don't know how you call it. It's like a basket, right? The only thing you can do with it is fill it up. Otherwise, it's just going to stay there, useless. So that's our desire to receive. And by default, by creation and default, it wants fulfillment all the time. And there's nothing we can do about it. That's just how it is. However, in order to bestow, in order to come to bestowal, we need to go through this process. And this whole process should take us to such a situation, such a level, that we use our desire to receive in order to bestow to the Creator exactly as He bestows to me. Now, why do we need to do that? Well, first of all, look, the Creator being in perfection, in love and bestowal, meaning that He doesn't need anything and He can do everything. What He wants to do to the created being is to raise the created being to the maximum level of attainment, just like He is. So He wants to make out of us a creature which has the same capacity as the Creator when it comes to bestowal. In fact, we have two attributes after we're all corrected. One's bestowal, the other one is receiving, while the Creator is only bestowing. So, our situation here is how we're going to, from this created format of wanting to receive everything and wanting to receive everything for myself, how are we going to get to a state of bestowal, and by coming to that state of bestowal, feel exactly how like the Creator feels, and through that sensation, connect actually with the Creator Himself. Okay, for example, our friend asked nicely about, when I read in the beginning of the lesson, spirituality coming to, connect at a fundamental level with somebody, like heart to heart. We said, no, spirituality is to connect with the Creator. To connect with the Creator means that I'm actually like Him. Okay, because we can only have a connection if we have something to connect with, and that can only happen if we're in a give and take situation. So a created being and the Creator need to come to equivalence of form, as we learned before, and this equivalence of form actually starts to evolve after this process. Now, once are we going beyond that? Let me just check. Okay. Right here. So this whole process of receiving what the Creator wants to give us, and us wanting to reciprocate, is taking us through a process of coming to bestowal. Now the situation is, how are we going to bestow to the Creator? He's not around, is He? That's our biggest problem. So after we've developed in such a situation and we're created in such a situation, we are now in this world. As you know, we drew this before, right? So let me draw it in a smaller scale here. Okay. In the third phases of our process of development, as you know, we have to go back to the Creator. And this was our first state, where we were created in perfection. This is our second state, where we developed for thousands of years. We developed our egoism. Okay. Our desire to receive for thousands of years through the still, vegetative, animate, speaking level, until we got the dot in the heart. And then after we got the dot in the heart, we came to the group to study Kabbalah. This is Bnei Baruch, and we're studying Kabbalah. Okay, this is your still, vegetative, animate, and human desires in this world. And as a person is going up this path throughout the reincarnations that one goes through, with all the desires that I started off with attached to me, I come to the group. Now from here, what I need to do is use the environment, which is here, okay? B'nai Baruch, Kabbalah, here's our environment. I use the environment, I connect with the environment, I stick my head in there, and I develop my dot in the heart, and I ascend in the degrees of the spiritual worlds until I come back to perfection. But this time, this is our third state, and that third state is equal to the first state. Only difference is that here I have full consciousness. Now this full consciousness, right, this whole process of coming back to full consciousness started off with these 4 phases here. This is why I drew this here. So it's very important that, it's very important that we understand this process here, okay? Because then the Creator created us here in that situation, and then what He did was He brought us down to this world through the spiritual worlds until we don't sense Him anymore. Okay, down here. And now, after He took us from that process, we have to go back the same way. All right? In the same manner, we have to go up in spirituality. In order to do that, like I said, we need to use this tool that we have here called B'nai Baruch. Now, the important thing about B'nai Baruch, when we're talking about B'nai Baruch, we're talking about Kabbalah group, obviously, right? So you come to B'nai Baruch and you're studying with us. This is what happens. How are we going to get spiritual and get back to our spiritual state fully consciously and receive everything from the Creator in order to bestow? Well, when a person has a dot in the heart, needs to use the environment, but the environment needs to involve another little detail which we must not forget about, and that is the Creator. So here we have 3 components. Okay? There's me, there's the group or the environment, and there is the Creator. Okay, so in this business it takes 3 to tango, let's say. Alright, so in order to reach this reciprocal bestowal without having the sensation of the Creator, I have to build that environment for myself. Now, sometimes we think, well, if I get my, if I stick my head into the environment, then I should be kind of, trotting along. Well, you will be trotting along. That's quite true, and it really does help a person's development, even if they just went with the flow of the group. However, when we're talking about an environment, what we're really talking about is building an environment. All right? So when I'm coming into the group here, the group is already a mechanism that's functioning. All right? So it's already a functioning body, let's say. What I have to do is I have to kind of stick my head in there and build myself a place inside this environment. So kind of a port where I can actually, where I can bestow to the outside. Okay, I don't know if I'm all clear. If there's something not clear, let me know. Okay, because what happened during the first semester that we were all studying together, and in fact during the course of this second semester as well, in fact even this lesson, we understand that we need to get to the Creator. However, He's nowhere to be found. But the Kabbalists are saying to us So we have a group of Kabbalists, Baal Sulam, Rabash, Ari, the writers of the Zohar. Kabbalists telling us, listen, the Creator equals love and bestowal. Okay? So if you want to connect with the Creator, you are going to have to also come to love and bestowal, giving. All right? So, okay, how are we going to do that? Well, this is what it means to build an environment. So inside this environment, I try to find myself ways to bestow. Sometimes the group might ask you to do something, or sometimes you might volunteer to do something. Generally, what we like to do is we like to tell the group what we're good at doing, and then the group should give us the job to do. Because that way my ego isn't involved, and then I can really bestow, because then I'm doing what they want to do. They want me to do. All right? So what happens here is this. When you come to the group, you start to connect with the people, with the group in there, and then you take on a role, a responsibility, and then you fulfill that responsibility. And the fulfillment of that responsibility, let's say, this is the environment again. This is, okay, so I already wrote that. So what you do then is basically, by fulfilling your role, you bestow to others. All right, so everybody else in the group, and in fact, not just everybody else in the group, but also you bestow to a greater circle. Let's do this. You can also bestow to, I'm just trying to get it right, get this drawing right. Okay. To, let's say, okay, the outside world. All right? So for people who are not in Bnei Baruch, but you could also be bestowing upon them. Okay? But we're doing all of that just for one reason. In order to bestow to the Creator. Okay, so for example, what we're doing here, right? So let's say this is Anthony, right? That's Anthony. Okay?
Oh, I'm looking good.
You're looking very good there,
yeah.
right? Now Anthony's there. He came into the group. Now he's learning, okay, he's studying with us Kabbalah, but he's also, what is he doing? He's taking an active role. All right? So he's already in the group, but what he's doing now is building himself an environment, because he just moved recently to Israel, right? So we asked him if he could help us out at the learning center, and he said sure. So now he kind of built himself a little bubble here. Now through that bubble, what he's doing is, first of all, bestowing to the environment here. Okay, because right now, just before he came up, you had dinner with the young group, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So he was with the young group. They were bonding together. They were working on their connection together. So he was bestowing to the friends in the young group, okay, part of Bnei Baruch. And now what he's doing is also bestowing to you guys. All right? There we go. But we're doing all of that just for one thing, in order to bestow to the Creator. How's that working? Well, look, it's all working because of one thing. And that thing is called the intention. Okay? And this intention happens here before Anthony even starts to do something. He first thinks about why he's going to do what he's going to do. Okay, because only crazy people or little children do things without knowing why they're doing these things. Okay, so what happens is Anthony, first thinks about why he's doing this. He wants to build and develop a soul. And the soul is the sensation of the Creator inside the attribute of bestowing that he wants to build for himself. So he can bestow to the Creator. And since the Creator created the whole of reality, and now Anthony is beginning to use the whole of reality in order to bestow to him, because at the end of the day, ultimately, the Creator wants all of us to come to the attribute of bestowal, and wants us to help others come to bestowal as well. Because in our world, what is bestowal? Bestowal isn't giving people money. Bestowal is helping people to come to the purpose of creation. That's bestowal. So while Anthony is trying to do that, in his mind he's got the intention that he's only doing this to bring contentment to the Creator. Okay, so his intention is not to get any favors from the Creator. He doesn't want money for it, right? No. Okay, we're over that. Okay.
Yeah, we're past that.
Yeah. So we're not doing this so the Creator can give us like a good fortune and good money, or we're not doing it so that we can go to heaven after we finish our little journey on this planet. Okay, but we're doing everything just to bring contentment to the Creator. All right. Now, when that intention, doesn't matter if it's right, wrong, at the end of the day, we start trying. We start to play with this thought. We try to play with this idea that I want to do something for the Creator, and what I'm doing is just for Him right now. Even though that's egoistic, it's okay. It's not a problem. Our nature is egoistic right now. Okay, we're egoists, and it's going to be egotistic. And since the Creator wants to also connect with us, because it's not just our desire that wants to connect with the Creator, because what wants to connect inside of us is our dot in the heart. This wants to go back to the Creator. Okay, but it's stuck inside our corporeal desires. It's stuck in this huge sack of desires for money, power, fame, knowledge, and it can't get out. So we're using the environment in order to kind of find ways to try to bestow instead of receiving for ourselves, so that we can come to equivalence of form with the Creator. When we have an intention to do that towards the Creator, what the Creator then does is what? He kind of gives us feedback, and that feedback is called inner change. And that's the Creator's light working on us. So the Creator is also from Himself. When we start doing acts like this, He kind of reciprocates, and this channel begins to open up between us and the Creator, where we start to get some feedback. And the feedback we're getting is from the environment again. So it turns out that my spiritual world actually becomes my environment. From here, I begin to learn everything. Okay? So in the environment, we have the Rav, the books, and the friends. And this is how we kind of start to make it happen. Now, the reason it works like this is because in spirituality, let's go back a page. In spirituality, we all come from one source. There's actually only one soul. The soul of Adam Harishon. But in order for this soul to unite with the Creator in this form here, all of the parts that belong to it, like parts of a body, need to come to bestowal and connect here consciously in perfection with the Creator. So all of us, all of the parts of us are connected here in perfection with the Creator. Okay? So everybody's individual dot in the heart is going through this process where we now have to connect and go up the ladder and up the worlds back to infinity. Okay? And the worlds you already know: Adam Kadmon, Atzilut, Bria, Yitzira, Asya. Okay? 125 steps. We already went over that, right? 125 steps. There we go. So basically what turns out is this. This final state here that we're in, right? This situation here, our perfect situation here in infinity, is actually being built by the prototype I'm building right here. Okay? It makes sense, right? If I want to build spirituality, if I want to come to a sensation, okay, if I want to build this situation here, remember, I've got to build this. Okay, the Creator is not going to hand it over to me. All of the steps here I have to attain with my effort, and I have to like kind of build my soul from scratch. In order to build my soul from scratch, I need to build myself inside this environment. This is why I say it's very important when you get into the environment to build yourself. Okay? That's how you're going to build your soul. How are you going to build it? By doing things related to spirituality in that environment. And what is spirituality in terms of Kabbalah? To bestow. And only then, while I'm in this process of work, I can get feedback from the group, which is actually the Creator's feedback to me. So let's call this feedback. Okay? Or we can say, we can do this. Okay? So the Creator, let's say, is bestowing back, and this is the feedback. So the environment becomes a tool where I can learn how to bestow like the Creator bestows upon me. This is where I'm going to get all the sensations and feelings. Okay, I think that's the gist of it. Any questions there?
Oh, yes, sir. We've got a lot. Let's check this out. In regards to what you were just speaking about, Louisa from London says, does this count with what we do in the corporeal?
Corporeal towards what? Towards who?
That was kind of it. I think what she's trying to say is,
if you're saying like, are we like good people towards people on the outside?
there you go.
Okay, like outside of the group, it's a good thing, of course, right? We want to be good people, all right, that's for sure. But that's not spirituality. I'll tell you why it's not spirituality. Because look, being a good person, you know, helping others and so on, doesn't really bring much good to the world. And I think we've been through that in the world. I remember in the 80s there was World Aid for Africa. Africa was going through like a drought period and so on, and the whole world kind of like got together, all the artists, the singers. It was like this big thing, you know. I'm sure you can still find a lot of things on it. The 80s were like really glorious in my teenage years. So that was like a really a pinnacle of human desire to help somebody in need, and that was really it was really a great effort on humanity's part. But if you look at what happened to Africa afterwards, it hasn't really gotten out of any suffering. In fact, the more we kind of stuck our noses into Africa, in like the Western world, not us, it's been more turmoil. It's been more disastrous. There's a lot of conflicts, civil wars, wars between nations. The drought really hasn't helped much. It's become a bigger mess, actually, while trying to help them. All right. So that kind of help doesn't really count for spirituality, because we need to measure the good deed that we're doing with respect to the purpose of creation. Also, for example, if you watched the documentary on Mother Teresa, for example, right? Mother Teresa, she was made a saint. I actually watched the documentary on that. It was very interesting. Although she was trying to help a lot of poor children, it was actually mayhem there. And a lot of the children that died could have actually been saved while she was helping them. It's quite horrific, actually. Mm-hmm. If you watch the documentary, it's not like what it sounds. Not sainty at all. Completely done out of an egoistic nature. And in fact, they asked her in an interview, "Why are you doing this?" And she said, "I feel good." She actually felt good by doing good things according to her understanding of good things to other people. And when doctors were there to help and to check, and because a lot of volunteer doctors came also from Europe to help, because they heard about her, so they came to help as well. And in a documentary, in the interviews, they were just shocked how kids were just left all over the place, and they were actually they could have been saved, and they ended up dying. Poor kids. So everything she did, and even though they called her a saint, was out of self-love, self-gratitude, completely egoistically done, and a lot of the children could have been saved when in fact they weren't. Okay, this is according to a documentary. So the good deeds that we're doing even in this world have an egoistic nature. Okay, we do them because it makes us feel good, or it makes us feel less guilty. All right, because sometimes even though we might not like to do something, we do it because it just makes us feel better about ourselves, less guilty, and so on. So those don't really count for spirituality. What counts for spirituality are the actions that we do with respect to changing our nature. This is why the Creator's involvement is very necessary in this business. All right, the intention of the student is very important because the intention is actually a force, right? They've now discovered that in the 90s, when I was at university, I was reading books on thought and the power of thought and everything, because it was all opening up that our thoughts were actually forces impacting the planet, impacting things that were happening around us. And to read all that was just amazing. And then you come to Kabbalah and you say, well, on top of the thoughts, we've got intentions that are really, really impacting the world. It's actually the strongest weapon in the world is intention, as Kabbalists say. So here you start to get into a new dimension completely.
You discover a new force.
Exactly. That new force you discover is something that you haven't felt before, and that's the feedback you're getting from the Creator. And that's causing inner change. That inner change actually begins to open up a new scope for you, a new, let's say, spectrum. And from that new vision that you get, you actually understand what it means to do good. And it actually also lets you identify what you can actually do in reality and what you can't. Because Kabbalists are saying, listen, there's only one thing we can really do, and that's to choose the environment. Everything else works on autopilot. So this thin line that we need to walk on starts with the whole idea of wanting to join that dot in the heart, that spiritual gene, let's call it, that we have, it needs to get back to that whole perfected self here. If I can, yeah, here. Okay, and it's that dot in the heart that's like kind of pulling us and pushing us to get here. And this is why spirituality only starts when you have a target, which is here, which is with the Creator as well. Actually, I should draw this here. Okay, together with the Creator. All right. Okay, anything else there?
Yeah, Hartwig from South Africa says, when we are experiencing something that is distasteful in life, and nonetheless decide to give thanks to the Creator because He only does good, is this decision an action of bestowal towards the Creator?
Come again? When we're experiencing something that is distasteful.
When we're experiencing something that is distasteful in life, and nonetheless, we still decide to give thanks to the Creator because He only does good, is this decision an act of bestowal towards the Creator?
Not really, because a lot of religious people do that as well. You know, because it's, listen, the situation is like this. You have to measure the state towards what you want to get to. Right? Measuring towards the purpose is very important here. Because otherwise you can have all kinds of things in your head that you think is bestowal. First of all, where do we want to get to? We want to get to attaining the attribute of bestowal. And that is exactly to be in bestowal like the Creator Himself. So if I have now a distasteful situation, but from that I understand that this is a leverage for me to come closer to bestowal. If I use the situation correctly, then I can become grateful. Then I can say, you know what, you slapped me there, you slapped my hand a little bit, it did kind of sting a little bit, but wait a minute, I can actually use this situation now as a leverage to come closer to my goal. And then I can say, hey, thank you for that, because now I see the action behind it. You know, I see the Creator's thought behind it. Now, if we don't relate it in such a way, then the religious also say, you know, God is great, God is wonderful. Even if I, you know, end up dead right now, He's great. Okay? Okay, you know, there's blind faith and there's an understanding which is a measurement towards the goal. Okay, and Kabbalah, that's why Kabbalah is a science. It's a science about self-discovery. My self, reality, and the force that governs reality need to link and become one so I can fully integrate myself into reality and be an active, functioning part correctly in it.
All right, and Paradzi from Zimbabwe says, Creator's bestowal. Why is the Creator having the need to bestow?
Kind of like us having the need to receive. Okay,
somebody's got to give it to us, right?
Exactly. Look, it's a nice question, and everybody asks this. Well, why does the Creator need to give? Okay, I feel like you're complaining about creation, huh? Not very nice being here because somebody wants to bestow to us, right? We're going through hell, literally, because somebody wants to bestow. Well, I don't want it. I understand what you're saying. In that aspect, we don't really understand the Creator, but Kabbalists do describe the situation as they attain spirituality. If you have a pure attribute of bestowal, and you really have this urge to bestow, but you can't, it's a very painful situation as well. Kind of like us living here and the Creator can't bestow to us. It's like a mother, she has a baby and God forbid the baby is sick, she wants to make her better and it's like she's helpless, right? So she's in more pain than the baby herself, right? So the Creator's dilemma is that He wants to do good to His creatures because of His nature. And this nature, just like our nature, kind of drives us to want things, his nature is driving him also to bestow and to give and to, to be actually connected. Just like in life, we are searching always for a good connection, right? With our spouses, with our partner, spouse, family, friends, kids, everything. We're always striving to have a good connection because intuitively we understand really that happiness comes from love. All right? And the reason we don't have any love in this world is because there isn't any. This is why we have so much to do with respect to love, because we all lack it, miss it. Okay? So many movies about it, poems about it, songs about it. But if we all actually felt love, we'd never really need to write a song about it because we wouldn't miss it. We'd be in it. So our situation is kind of like that, and so is the Creator's. So the Creator wants to have a created being in which we can connect with the Creator in this attribute of love and actually feel the utmost perfection, happiness and joy with full consciousness, not like just, not like being on drugs or anything, but having that full consciousness and being in perfection connected with the Creator. It's like having, it's like falling in love with someone, right? Let's say you corporeal, the corporeal level, let's say you fell in love and it's just perfect, right? Kind of like that. Imagine that perfection going on forever. So the Creator's dilemma is a big dilemma, because on the one hand, he needs to bestow to a creature that wants to receive, and how is he going to bring that vessel of reception to complete bestowal and perfection? So he's got much more problems than we have in kind of coming up with this concept. But his nature is working in that direction, just like our nature is towards, receiving. What we need to get to is to really begin to, as we study Kabbalah, you begin to understand the Creator. And then you begin to see how he is doing everything, did everything so wonderfully. And that this was the only way he could have done it. And that understanding actually brings a lot of pleasure to a person. I'll tell you up front. I'll give you guys a heads up about what's to come. When you begin to understand exactly why he did those things to you and how he was so precise with his every thought, intention and action just for you. It's an amazing discovery, and that brings a lot of joy to a person as well. To find out that somebody loves you makes you very happy, doesn't it? So imagine now you discovering the Creator, and he did everything for you just because he loves you like you can't imagine.
It makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside.
Yeah, and then it'll make you feel really bad as well.
Yes.
Because you'll remember about all the things in the past, how you felt bad about your destiny, how you were complaining to the Creator about the things he did to you, and then you're going to think, oh my God, all those things I said to him. Right? Okay. All right. That's called shame. Okay, that's called shame, but it's also a sensation we'll go through. It's something that's given to people on the path who are like advancing, because from understanding you begin to have those contradictions in you resolved, and that brings you to a new level, and then you feel obviously bad about the bad you did, right? But it's also a learning process. So it's I'll tell you guys, it's a very, very wondrous path, and when you advance and when you're studying and when you're going through the process, to actually live these things constantly is an amazing thing. So hang in there, all right? We'll be discovering actually why the Creator, had to come up with this plan.
Definitely. Yeah. We have a question from Barbara. Barbara says, how long does it take to go through all the phases?
Mm-hmm. Well, that depends on how hardworking Barbara is. Okay. Look, life is measured according to effort, right? How much I try, I make an effort, and I do something. In this business, we don't have to be geniuses. In this business, the Creator just wants a sincere approach, a sincere effort on our behalf. All right? Because He already knows that we're not going to be able to change our own nature. Right? We're just completely incapacitated to do that. It's just not going to happen. All right? We can see from ourselves as well. No matter how much you tell a person you should change this about yourself, change that about yourself, you know they're not going to change. Okay, they can't. It's not their fault. All right? So don't ask people to keep changing all the time because they can't do it. Okay? Neither can we. We can only bring our differences into a reconciliation by mutually agreeing to annul ourselves to the other. Okay? That's called mutual concession. So in this sense as well, what we need to do is walk on the path, all right? Study, work, get together, carry on, and keep trotting along, do our best, and leave the rest to the Creator Himself. Okay? Because the important thing here is, and I can't emphasize this enough, that you must always keep in mind these three things. You, okay, you, the group, okay, here, and the Creator. All right? All of these things must be like in one flow. Okay? And when you sincerely do the best you can, as much as you can, the Creator helps out. Just like we help our children, we see that they can't do something, but they want to get it done, so we give them a hand, don't we? We don't solve the problem for them. We help them to solve the problem. That's called the Creator's feedback. Okay, so I am just doing so much coloring in here. Okay, and that's called the Creator's feedback. Ooh, sorry. There we go. He helps us out. All right? So we need to be in this loop. Our intention needs to be towards the Creator, to bestow. That's my intention. This is why I'm studying Kabbalah. This is why we're all studying Kabbalah. This intention to bestow to the Creator. Okay? So I work with that intention, but I don't see the Creator, so I use the environment. This is my group. Oh, okay, so I use the group and the environment to bestow, to try to bestow work, and the Creator gives me new thoughts, feelings, impressions, understandings. You know, like you get those aha moments in life. This is how it all come together, by constantly getting an aha moment. And this is how we build our new level of understanding, feeling. And understanding always comes from the feeling, right? So we're not, making an intellectual study here. As we work in the group to try to do things through the emotions and the feelings, I begin to understand why things are like this. That's called real attainment, because it comes from the feelings. Right. What else there, mate?
Okay, so now we have Mo says, so one by himself cannot reach full correction. What about the rest of the 8 billion souls out there unaware of what we talk about? And what about if some intentions within the group are not directed enough?
First,
will we reach or not?
We will all reach. Now, let's talk about 8 billion people, right? Currently, before you guys came to Kabbalah, you were also out there, right, with the 8 billion people. So what did we do? Well, what we did was, you guys started coming here, okay? The rest of humanity. Why? How did you end up here? I'll tell you how you ended up here. Because we're studying. And as we study, you get influenced. Because we're all part of one soul. We might not feel it that way. Of course we don't feel it that way, that's for sure. But think about it. It's really logical, actually. If we are all part of one soul here, if we were created as part of one creation, all right? And we are part of creation, by the way. We are part of nature. The whole of creation and us are together as one creature, right? And I'm perceiving all of that in me. So all of us are actually this one person. So when one of us wakes up here and starts to go up, and with this dot in the heart is developing now, what happens is a ripple effect. So a group of Kabbalists start studying. And because they're studying, it's affecting other souls that are close to them. And then it's affecting other souls. And then it's affecting other souls. And all of a sudden, you have all of these ripple effects, all intertwined from all around the world, getting in touch, getting in contact with the purpose of life. So from one little group, millions of people are already affected. In fact, many millions of people. Think about it. We've been teaching for the past 20, 25 odd years. And I've been in the group for the past, 14, 15 years. It's my 15th year in the group. And since then, all right, all that's been happening is a lot of influencing all around the world. This is why we have so many friends from all around the world. Even if they don't carry on studying with us, when they come, they learn and they have a contact point with us, even if they don't stay. It's very important. Because even on day one, you listen to one lesson, and let's say you left forever. That first lesson, you already have a contact you can't get rid of. It's like meeting someone in your life. You met them and that's it, they're in your memory. You can't kind of like erase them. Okay? This is the same thing because we're all connected. Now, somebody invented the mobile phone. A group of people came together, sat together, and they said, wouldn't it be lovely if we could just talk without all these cables and just, call whoever we want, whenever we want, from wherever we want? Who needs cables? So they came up with the mobile phone. How they put this thing together, only they know and God knows. All right? However, we're all using it. Right? 8 billion people, well, those who are eligible for a mobile phone, who can get a mobile phone, majority of the planet right now, I guess, has a mobile phone. We can all use it. We've actually attained what a few people came up with. We're using it. All right? Same with a computer. Somebody thought about it. Wouldn't it be great if we could work wherever, however, with just a laptop instead of getting stuck to a table? So they came up with the laptop. Now we can work wherever we want. Do I know how they made it? No. Do I care? Not particularly. All right? No. But I'm using it. It means that I've actually attained it. Why? Because I'm using it what it's for. I'm using it exactly for the purpose they made it for. So I've actually attained it. It's like pressing the buttons on your microwave. I mean, who knows how it functions? Do we really think about it? No, we press 2 minutes, it heats up the food. Hey, great. All right? So what we need to understand also, that a lot of the people in the world, as we develop in humanity, you can also see that they're much more developed than the previous generation. Now, our kids are always smarter than the previous generation. Why? Because they already have a lot of accumulation in them. They already know much more about this world, even though we think they're kids. They're not kids because they have all the accumulation of the past. So this 8 billion people, this one chunky body, they're going to feel the things that we're feeling. They're going to start to get through that inner change. Inner change is already happening with every new generation that's coming. And imagine now an injection of spirituality to all of us as we learn, as we educate ourselves the world is also being affected by it. It's like the butterfly effect. All right, a butterfly flaps its wings somewhere in Africa. Earthquake happens somewhere in the Pacific. Why? It's all connected. And we're all connected as well. There was a very interesting experiment with monkeys, right? They had a group of monkeys in the forest. They observed them. They were completely isolated in that island. And they started acting in a new way. And then a completely different group of monkeys on another island who had no contact with them, after a while, they picked up the habit as well. Right? And these are monkeys, right? They don't have internet and mobiles, and they're not communicating about, hey, this is what we're doing on our island, what are you guys doing? All right, so there's no communication like that because nature is interconnected. So instinctively, intuitively, people start to change. They begin to understand that a previous thing is no longer working. It's like you having a gut feeling, right? Sometimes you have a gut feeling that you don't want to do this, it just doesn't feel right. Nah, I'm not going to do that, all right? And you have a good feeling about doing something else. Why? Because of experiences that are accumulated inside of us turn into behavior that we choose for the better or for the worse. Same in our inner changes. Since we're all connected, any change that one of us goes through is impacting a lot of people. In fact, impacting 8 billion people. Not one, not two. All of a sudden, for example, who asked that question?
I believe that was
Parazzi or?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, so for example, let's say, I don't know, you're in Europe, Africa, Asia, where all of a sudden came to you the idea that, you heard about Kabbalah and you want to study this. Okay, so all of a sudden, where in Africa, So you search, you start looking. Why? Because inside of us we're going through changes. We want an answer. We want to find a way, like a way out of this life, pretty much, because we feel inside of us that there must be a reason. There must be a higher level of living than this world. Come on, look at it. It's chaotic, right? This is why the world's going worse all the time. If it didn't, we'd never ask. So the Creator is pushing humanity. Okay, so the Creator is pinching humanity, and we're teaching humanity at the same time. So they're questioning, and then them getting answers kind of is going to click. This is going to take some time, but we'll see in 20, 30 years it's going to happen. People are going to just be tired of living in this world like this, right? They're going to say it's just not worth it. It's just not worth the suffering. Okay, and we'll see in 20, 30 years. You'll see. People will want to come, they'll want to sit and they want to learn, how can we connect? How can we feel this higher level of existence? And then our teaching and then their desire, that's going to connect. That's how it's going to happen.
If you look at the way the world's going right now, it might come sooner than later, It looks like it's headed that direction. We've got a question here from Svita from Sophia. And she says, searching and aiming for the best environment, isn't that too kind of egotistic?
It is, but it's towards the goal. It's not like I want to make money or I want to rule the country or I want to, attain something in knowledge, egoistically wanting to use science for money, power. I'm not using it to abuse people. I'm not making that decision in order to make a profit out of somebody. I'm using that in order to kind of improve myself. I understand that my situation is not good at a spiritual level. I'm talking about, right? Spiritually, I feel that this, I'm just suffering in this world. This world doesn't really have much meaning. So I want to know what the meaning of life is. So I'm not choosing that environment in order to abuse, make profit, or do something harmful to others. Quite to the contrary, I'm choosing the environment in order to change to a better situation, which is towards the purpose of life. So yeah, it is egoistic, that's for sure. However, it's for the purpose is right. That's how you need to measure it. Everything we do in our egoistic form is egotistic. Okay, there's nothing we can do about it. But the desire to change it, the desire to get out of that form is already an effort. And that effort is what's valuable in our spiritual path. Yeah.
All right, and so our good friend Hartwig in South Africa says, how will we know when we have reached the first step of the 125 degree?
It's like a baby when they're born. Slowly they wake up to this world, right? And they slowly they begin to feel, understand, see, smell, hear, taste things. So spirituality is like us getting an extra sense in which we start to see, sense, feel things a little differently. And that will be crystal clear. It's nothing blurry. It's nothing like surreal. It's nothing in my fantasy. Just like you see this world concretely, you begin to see an extra, let's say, layer which you didn't see before. It'll happen.
And our good friend Jose Carlos from Spain / Portugal says, the discoveries about why the Creator had done something for a reason. Doesn't that... Oh, sorry. The discoveries about why the Creator had done something for a reason don't happen all at once. Is that true?
The reason why he's done things to you, it doesn't happen all at once. It's going to take a process, right? It's like, I don't know, let's say I wanted to learn something a few weeks back and all of a sudden now, oh, yeah, that's why it was like that. All of a sudden I have an aha moment from something that's in the past. Why? Because I need to digest it. So this is why we have these 4 phases, right? These 4 phases are very important, guys. This is how everything happens, all right? In our situation as well. Our thought process, how our desires pop up inside of us, it's all going through these 4 phases. Now, what happens after the 4th phase is very interesting as well, which we should also really touch on. What happens when the created being Malkut receives everything and wants to receive everything for itself, including the Creator's throne? He comes to an understanding here, right at the end of that, and he feels different. He feels like he's the opposite to the Creator. That in turn makes him feel shame. All right, so the 4th phase, the last point in the 4th phase, brings Malchut, this created creature, the sensation that he and the Creator are opposite. He feels himself very egoistic, very self-centered, self-loving, and he feels the Creator completely opposite, completely loving him. The Creator doesn't think about himself at all. He wants to give everything to him. He loves Malchut, all right? And Malchut discovers that he just loves himself and wants to get everything from the Creator. So this difference, this huge, massive difference, complete oppositeness, the understanding of that brings the sensation of shame. This is why shame, the feeling of shame, we have also in our lives as well. Shame. All right. And this shame also brings us to the topic of first restriction, meaning that the created being now decides in the next phase. So let's just follow up this phase here, over here. This is called the first restriction, where the created being decides not to receive anything from the Creator, as a restriction on itself, and says, I will not receive anything unless it's in order to bestow. And that's called the first restriction. Oops, come on. first restriction. Okay, there we go. And that's what happens after the fourth phase. And then we have the development of the world of Adam Kadmon here. Okay, Adam Kadmon. The world of Atzilut. Why is it not writing properly? The world of Bria. There's something wrong with our pen today. No, let's see. Oops. A bit of a delay. Okay, so our pen is not working properly. So the world of Adam Kadmon, Bria, Yitzra, Atzia. Then all these worlds are beginning to be built. All right.
There we go. Back in action.
Back in action. And this process where the whole of corporeality is being built. Corporeal. Okay. And this world is spiritual. So here we have the roots. Here we have the branches. Okay. All right. So this delta, this huge difference, oppositeness between Malkut and the Creator brings the shame, the feeling of shame, and then Malkut decides, I am not receiving anything from the Creator because I feel so opposite to Him, and it makes me feel ashamed. I feel really bad. Okay? There you go. That's what happens after the fourth phase. And then the created being Malkut will now come to another understanding. Says, well, wait a minute, he says. If the purpose of creation is to receive everything from the Creator, and I have to bestow to Him, but I understand that my nature is completely reception for myself, and I feel really bad being in it, if I do this first restriction, we're never going to get to the purpose of creation, because now I'm not going to get anything from the Creator. He's not going to bestow anything, and that's like He's in His corner, I'm in my corner, and we have nothing to talk about. We have no connection at all. It's just like the Creator had not created me at all. What's the point? So after he comes to he does the first restriction, he understands that the purpose of creation is to build a connection, but to build the right kind of connection. And that right kind of connection is the building of the spiritual worlds, which now the Creator is building, okay, in this phase here. Okay, the Creator is building here. After Malchut the Ein Sof is here, now the Creator is building these levels, the worlds, and then He's bringing us down from the worlds, okay, from all the way from perfection. This is like Malchut the Ein Sof, right? This is Malchut here. So you're all probably wondering where Malchut is. So after the restriction, Malchut says, listen, being restricted is not a good state because I have no connection with the Creator. The Creator has no connection with me. I have nothing to talk about with Him, that we don't have a connection. So now we want to build that connection. So this whole process of building the worlds is actually creating this created being called Adam with an intention to bestow to the Creator, and also revealing all of the desires that he has in him, which he needs to bestow with. So all of this structure is actually the spiritual process and that spiritual man called Adam Kadmon. And this is why all of these phases have the names of the 10 Sephirot. So these are called, let's just write them down here. This is Keter, the thought of creation. This is Chokhmah, the desire to receive. This is Bina, the desire to bestow. This is Zerampin, the desire to receive in order to bestow. And this is Malchut, okay? The desire to receive completely. And so all of these worlds are now being built in spirituality corresponding to the 10 Sephirot. So this is how we are now building the soul. So this is how the Creator actually built everything. And after He built this structure, He took us through that structure and He made us go through all of this, so that from that process, what we have inside of us are called reshimot, impressions. Okay? Reshimot are all the impressions, that spiritual impressions that we have, right? And now all those spiritual impressions are inside that dot in the heart right here, which is now awakening. And this dot in the heart wants to get back. And the whole idea of us having these reshimot is great, because on the way back now, I can remember. As I go through the process, I'll be able to say, oh my God, I recall this. I understand where this is coming from. Why? Because we kind of went through that thing. Okay? As we were coming down. So now, as we are going up, we will recall these reshimot and we'll understand where they're coming from. And that will make our process very logical. I'll be able to relate to them because I'll know what I've already been through. All right? Because I'll have a gut feeling about it, like we say. Isn't that great? So
always go with your gut.
Yeah. There you go. All right, so this process is very logical. It's very scientific. It makes so much sense when you delve into it. Okay, so I hope that's like kind of opened up some new windows for you guys. We've got about 1.5 minutes if you have any questions there, mate.
Yeah, let's see here. When bestowing to the group, does it necessarily have to be something you do not enjoy? Otherwise, I do it for self-benefit? No,
not at all. I'm right now with Anthony here. We're quite enjoying being with you guys. Are we like not bestowing? If you're not happy, you can't really bestow. How can I love you and bestow to you if I'm really unhappy about the situation? All right, it's not really going to happen, is it? Happiness is a sign of bestowing. It's this good thing. Why? Because you're happy because you're helping somebody. You're helping because you're helping them in order to get to the purpose of life. And that's going to give the Creator happiness. So, not at all. Any opportunity is good. It doesn't have to be an event that's like, causing you dramas. Sometimes it might be something you don't like doing, like washing the dishes. Could be, right? But then that gives you an opportunity to think. Then you think to yourself, well, wait a minute. If I love somebody, what difference does it make what I do? As long as it's helping them out. Right? Because at the end of the day, I want to bestow. So what difference does it make what I'm doing if I want to bestow? It's not about how I feel. Okay, so be careful with that, because you'll get stuck in how you feel. Don't worry about how you feel. Think about how good they will feel. Think about how good it's going to be for them, because they're going to get some help in order to come to the purpose of creation. If you fall into that trick, you'll be in yourself all the time.
Bestowal's not about you. It's about actually receiving nothing in return. To a big extent, nothing at all in return. Just doing to do.
Right, yeah, so we've got...
let's see here. Once again, from our good friend, is it correct to say that bestowal to the creator is actually bestowal to the environment and the friends?
At the moment, yes. At the moment, yes. But with the intention that you want to bestow to the creator. You must, guys, not forget the end goal. Okay? You must never forget that we're doing this in order to bestow to the creator. Our goal is to come to bestow to the creator. Do not forget. Okay? You must not forget that. Okay? So remember that first drawing I did. I can't even find it myself. Okay. So remember, always bestow to the friends in order to bestow to the creator. Another one. Yeah, there we go. You must keep the creator in mind. Okay? You're only bestowing to everybody else in order to bestow to the creator. So keep that intention always. Yeah. Okay, guys, we're running over time, 2 minutes over time already. If there are questions still not answered, we'll have an opportunity next week. Okay, so never fear, we're all around. So see you guys next time on lesson 9. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Give us your feedback if you think we need to change anything, do anything differently so we can help you more. In the interim, have a great day or evening depending where you are. All the best.
Good night. See you later.